Kia ora whānau. So I'm back on this section of food forest at Ngararatunua. It's a 200 square metre food forest that we installed here for the whānau in Ngararatunua. And basically what we had here previously was dense kaikuyu, as you see, bordering the edges of the food forest here. So it even looked worse than that. This is, winter. We attacked it in summer, and so it was even more rank than this. But basically we scraped it all back, dug it in, and came in with a whole high density of plants. Our main drivers were the tithonia, as you can see, are just filling out the space now. So this was planted in October 2020, and now it's July 2021, so it's not even a year old, and they're over my head. So in that time it's just been amazing how fast it's grown. We do get frost here, and so we were careful to time the last chop and drop that we did prior to winter. And so the last time we did a big intervention in here was in April, and that was actually turned out to be a really good time for us here in this temperate region, because it meant that all the tithonia, as you can see, has had a chance to full out again, protecting our more sensitive crops like the tamarillo here, like the bananas that we have nestled in the space. And as you can see, the bananas that we have nestled in amongst this whole canopy have not been at all damaged by the frost. However, when you look to bananas that have been more exposed, more in the open and not as protected, such as this guy here, you can see he's been hammered, not completely, but he'll still recover, but has been blasted with a bit of frost. So that is our way of pulling through bananas in frosty areas, is having this frost cover canopy above your more subtropical plants. And that is why it's crucial to time your chop and drop, so that you're not doing it too late into winter and you open everything up and you let that frost really get in to your sensitive trees. So do your chop and drop prior to your frost season, enough time for it to really bounce back. And that's why we really just love the tithonia, because there's such fast response in bouncing back after a heavy chop and drop. If we didn't have tithonia in this situation, none of the other trees would have been able to bounce back as much as this. The faux aren't even ready to chop back yet. The brush wattles and the eucalyptus aren't ready there yet. So you really want to make sure you fill that gap, something in that first year that already you can chop back hard 2 or 3 times, which you've done, and it still bounced back to this amazing biomass source. So yeah, that's a highly recommended plant to put in your system, or some such plant, whether it's Jerusalem artichoke, whether it's some other sort of sunflower, yacon. They all are quite fast growing, but nothing like this tithonia. If you are in a more frosty zone and tithonia just doesn't do for you, then think about planting already your brush wattles and faux and eucalypts a year or so before you put in your more sensitive plants, so you can chop and drop them and they fill out that space enough time before winter hits in. But as it was, because we could get away with tithonia there, we could plant it all at once and get away with it. So the intervention that we did do this season, midwinter for us, is chop back all the grasses and stuff bordering the edges. We've cut back all the chicory on the edge of the rows there, and the sorghum on the right there, which has just not compromised the frost tolerance, but it has meant that we don't have the sort of stagnant undergrowth we had before, which again lets off that senescence, that hormone that slows the production of all your neighbouring plants. So we gave that a nice trim, which has meant that we get that biomass on the soil, reducing the compactivity of the rain that does fall on the area, covering that soil again, because as you see, if we hadn't done that, the edges or the soil would be a bit exposed, as the previous chop and drop in April, the mulch had already decomposed. So yeah, now we've got a nice layer of mulch back on both sides of the beds. We've cleared the space a bit, and we've removed that senescence from the grass and the chicory. As you can see, a row that we haven't done yet by comparison, so that's another one that we did. So you can see it's all nicely trimmed back and nice and tidy underneath there. All that kaiku grass that was there before has been completely shaded out. There's a few strains of grass still in there, but for the most part it is well on its way out, suffering from all that shade. So this is a row that we haven't trimmed back at all, and so you can see we've got the sorghum sort of going to flower, we've got the chicory a little bit stagnant, we've got other sort of weeds popping up in the beds there, which is all good, you know, they're all just biomass, but they are all flowering as well and further creating our senescence. So that's where we came in with our sickles, the serrated sickles, and we just cut back those grasses. As you can see, the tithonia is great, the faux is just pumping. I mean, just look at that. And faux, being forest plants, they just love growing up in this sort of environment. They don't like so much full sun. And as you can see here, there's a bit of a light well. A tithonia obviously didn't make it. We have a tithonia here, but we don't have one in this gap here. And as you can see, as a result, the banana and the tam have suffered from not having that frost protection. So yeah, that's really crucial to have that. And the other thing I want to show you guys as well is that I mentioned that we now had finished having our annuals, and that's a bit sad because we do like annuals, and the whānau here do eat them, so it would be nice to have another chance at growing more. So what we've done in our last bed, so towards the sun, these rows are all facing north to south, so each point in the day the row does get sun. However, this is the one most to the east, so it gets more of the sun, and so we decided to come in and do a bit more of an intervention on this side of the row. So we chopped back all the tithonia branches that were overhanging and cleared a sort of a light well space on the shoulder, one shoulder of this food forest bed, and came in and planted a whole load of cauliflower and broccoli and some different mix of brassicas and also some celery, and that will just offer us another crop of annuals in this space before it completely fills over by things that don't like chopping back so much, such as our citrus trees and tikoka, and what else do we have in here? Blueberries, serviceberry trees, tams. All these things in here are going to just start fully filling out and creating a forest. So we're just getting away with another crop of annuals whilst we can over winter. And yeah, look forward to seeing how they go and harvesting them in a couple months. So yeah, basically just wanted to show you guys an update of this food forest just across the road from Ngararatunua marae there, and how it's going. 200 square meters, previously all kikuyu, densely planted out with over 700 different varieties of plants, all growing together, creating this food forest of abundance. It's just an ocean of green lushness at the moment, which I'm just so proud of, to see such a transformation from kikuyu to this, just using plants, no plastic, herbicides or fertilizers or any such thing, no chemicals, no plastic, no cardboard, no carpet, just plants in succession, in density and diversity. This is what we've got here, and it's just so beautiful. That's how we do it.